Okay, so hello everybody and welcome. It's very nice to see so many people here, and we are delighted tonight to be joined by some of our most long-standing members, some of whom we haven't seen for a very long time indeed, because they're all incredibly busy with all their projects and with being Ruddy Cheek, I think. So we are very keen to hear what you've been up to and all about their group. Okay, Angela, let me hand over to you.
Thank you very much. So I'll do a little quick sort of intro overview about our group, and then we're each going to talk for a couple of minutes about our work, and then a couple of minutes about a specific example where the group has been really valuable to us. So in terms of questions, time is kind of short between 8 of us. So if it's okay with you, if you could put them in the chat or save them till the end, then Kat will work her magic and that will work. Thank you very much. So about Ruddy Cheek. Judith asked for people interested in being part of a peer development group in Blue Monkey. Some time ago. Since then, we've been a small group of about 8 people. We've been together about 4 years. Our first meeting was in May 2018 in Eastbourne, and then it was monthly meeting in person, led by Judith very ably. And our main focus was professional development, planning, funding, and about our work, really. So we spent some time getting to know each other, getting to know our work, what we wanted to do, how we're going to plan. And that was all working beautifully. And then lockdown arrived. And then we moved to Zoom. I did everything. And that format worked surprisingly well for us, actually. So it's quite democratic. Everyone had their time. We managed to do things in a quite sort of reasonable way. We didn't interrupt each other. Everybody got used to Zoom, didn't they? And we did that, which was good. At the end of 2020, Judith decided to leave after setting up a really great foundation for us. So that's brilliant. So thank you very much, Judith. And then the rest of us had to think about whether we wanted to carry on, and we all did, which was great. So we were all sort of keen to carry on, and Lucy volunteered to oversee the group, which was great, which is no easy task, so thank you very much, Lucy. We still use Zoom every month, and we have some meetups in person as well. Right, so okay, so on to the name, Ruddy Cheek. So we wanted to find a name for ourselves, because it keeps saying, oh, we've got peer development group. It was all kind of like a bit of a mouthful. We wanted to get our own identity. So we use WhatsApp a lot, and so there was hundreds of WhatsApps with people's brilliant ideas about, I've just got a brilliant idea what would be called, and sort of met by silence until somebody else's great 10 ideas came along, and we were getting nowhere really. And then we're sort of like, oh, maybe we'll just see how we do. And then one afternoon stroke evening, Elizabeth was at my house, and after a red wine or maybe 2, we were talking and putting the wheels to right. And then Elizabeth said, you know what, it's a Ruddy Cheek. And then this kind of light bulb went off, and she went, that's it, that's what we'll call the group, which we were laughing about. But she immediately changed the name on the WhatsApp group, changed the image on the WhatsApp group. We were laughing like this is going to last half an hour. But luckily, we got away with it, and it's stuck. So that's one way of making a decision. So well done, Elizabeth. So as I say, we use WhatsApp a lot. It's immediate, it's informal, it's really easy. You have a thought or an idea or a suggestion, and you just do it straight away, and it works, which is brilliant for us. Emails are all a bit horrible. You kind of get emails, then you get the whole thread thing. It doesn't really work. Whereas WhatsApp, you can dip in and dip out of that. In fact, I was looking to see how often we use WhatsApp, and in the last month or so, we've used it more days than we haven't. So we really do use it quite a lot. It's important for us to all contribute at every meeting, and that's kind of made easier by the whole WhatsApp thing. So we all know pretty much where we are, what we're doing, what our concerns are. So when it comes to the meetings, which are every month, then we've got a little bit idea about who's got an exhibition or who's struggling with something. We've got a sort of informal, non-agenda approach. So sometimes somebody will say, I really want to talk about something, which is great. Other times there won't be that. So we'll just go around all of us. And even when there's a big sort of topic that somebody wants to talk about, we'll still always make time so that everybody has some time to talk about themselves. In fact, we found out that actually sometimes the most valuable times are when you think, I've got nothing to say, nothing's going on, but actually when you start describing why you've got nothing to say, nothing's going on, then maybe everybody can help you out of this hole that you're in or a dead end that you've come to. We're a supportive group. One of our members, Satu, had a baby a couple of years ago, which is fantastic, and we sort of left it open, see what you want to do. And she decided that she's not ready to come back now, but she'd really like to come back at a future time in some, maybe tomorrow, maybe a year, maybe 5 years, or whatever. So we've said, great, do that, because we've all been there, and we know that if you've got something good and you close that door, then it's finished. But so we're leaving the door open to her, which is nice, and we'd all do that to each other. We're exhibiting for the first time together as a group in June. Lucy is curating an exhibition, quite a large exhibition actually, that we're taking part in, and Lucy will talk all about that later. So what we're going to do now is going to do my Virgin screen share, which is very scary. So let's see if this works. Can you see that by any chance?
Yeah.
You see that? Fabulous. So
yeah, that's better.
So is it okay? Can you see a slide?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Right. So as I say, we're going to take it in turn. So my name's Angela. I'm a painter. I pour gloss and enamel paint with no preconceived outcome. So I just see what happens, really. The central sort of theme of my work is about the contradictions between how we look and the way we feel. So the whole kind of, how are you, sometimes you're great and sometimes you're not so great, and sometimes we show it and sometimes we don't show it. So it's trying to, it's about sort of, the insides and the outsides, which brings me to this piece. So as I say, I pour, and sometimes I use funnels because, well, just I forgot to press my stopwatch. Sometimes I use funnels because it helps me control the pouring. So one day when I didn't know what I was doing, I was just fiddling around, looking around me, trying to distract myself. And so I started peeling the paint from the inside of a funnel and thought, oh, this is interesting. So I did it some more. And that's all this is. So funnel, this is all paint. So plastic funnels that I've used, pour paint through, comes out the bottom, and peeled them from the inside. So this one is called insides, outside. So you can see the insides that you wouldn't normally see on the outside. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to with everything else, really. Maybe I'll just stop at this. Anyway, so all the time I'm looking for a balance between control and chance. So I have no idea what the insides of these look like, but which makes it much more satisfying to me when I see what they look like. This one is called Hazard, partly due to the colours and partly due to the accident waiting to happen. So the yellow painting is very secure and balanced and symmetrical, and the black one is an accident waiting to happen. So in the very sort of bottom of the black thing where you can see the gravity, it's kind of tucked in inside, and it really shouldn't hold and it shouldn't work, but it has. It's held for about 6 months or so it's still going to hold now. So gravity is also important in my work. So I've been using oil-based household gloss for quite a long time now. But as of the beginning of this year, the end of last year, I've stopped that, and I'm now just using water-based, because it's really bad for the environment and it's bad for health. So I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm now just using water-based and seeing what I can do, basically. So this is the first one of the water-based paintings that I've done. Well, first decent water-based painting that I've done. I've done an awful lot of experiments and things that I wouldn't show you, but this is something that's okay. So this one I'm probably going to save for the exhibition that we've got, Lucy's exhibition, which comes later in the year. And that is all about, we've each been given a sentence to respond to, and mine is very sort of fleshy, sensual, of the body. So that's what I'm going to do for that one. So I'm trying to use water-based paint in a similar way that I've been using the oil-based paint. It's never going to be the same, which is what stopped me doing it. But sometimes you just have to say that's it, and I've said that's it. So I will be moving to that. Right, so that's about me and my work, and then also we're also going to talk about a specific example where the group has helped us. So my specific example is that one of my reasons for joining the group is that I had a solo show coming up at the time, which was really exciting, but also really daunting and pretty lonely. So I thought I needed help in preparation and selecting the work. So the group came to my studio, which is actually my spare room, and they helped me make connections between the paintings, which was brilliant, really, really useful. But they were surprised by the 3D nature of my work, which made me realise that I was obviously communicating it pretty poorly, really. And specifically, I was trying to find a main show image, and what I was thinking was that, you know, which of these paintings would be the main show image. So I sent through a whole load of options to them on our WhatsApp and just got a lot of no's. And they were saying, you need to show the sculptural nature of the work. This isn't showing, you know, like it's not really giving us a taste of what's different about your work. Try detail, which hadn't occurred to me, which was a great idea and helped me see through fresh eyes, really. So I zoomed in and I cropped, and I ended up with a kind of big bulge, a glossy bulge, which was a much more intriguing image, I think, and sort of interesting image. And also I was very lucky to have Judith come along and curate and hang the show with me, which wouldn't have happened without that group, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you, Judith. And so that is me. So next we have Claire. So let me get Claire's slide. There's Claire's slide. Go, Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hello, hi, my name's Claire Shoesmith. I work in a number of different media. My training's in sculpture. I kind of morphed into photography because I realized when I was making sculpture that I didn't know what to do with the stuff that I made. So I kind of always wanted to capture an essence of something rather than a reality of something. And the photography seemed to work on that level for me. However, material is still really, really important to me. Material matter that sort of exists already and can be adapted. It's more inspiring and important to me than anything that I could make that would be a new thing. So I kind of like to work in places where I'm going to find stuff that's really unexpected. This image here is in a derelict plant nursery in Eastbourne that I'm working in at the moment. I am making photographic work there, but I'm also kind of working there as a sort of gardener, renovator, all kind of manner of things, really. I think over recent years, over sort of COVID, I've kind of struggled to be a creative practitioner in my own right. I've been a facilitator for many years, be it as a teacher. I also co-run Eastbourne Studio Pottery. And I think this place, this nursery, it sort of, it kind of traps me in its kind of grip a little bit. And I think it's kind of a little bit of a kind of metaphor for where I am kind of with my own work. It's jumbled, it's messy, it's chaotic, it's breaking down, it's all sorts of things that I don't always see until I've actually taken the photographs and come away, and I can see like, oh my God, that is my brain. I kind of, often my work is sort of about being kind of a sense of feeling out of place, whether that's kind of mentally or physically, and kind of looking to other people who also sort of seem to be kind of at odds with their environment or at odds with what's going on in their lives. So let me think how long I'm on for. Trying to find a place to work, kind of both physically and mentally. This kind of has helped me to have this place. When I'm kind of helping other people with their work in the pottery studio or at school, it's really not somewhere where I can even kind of begin to imagine kind of my own kind of creative practice. But you know, a lot of the time, and this kind of comes up in the group as well a lot of the time, you know, we question our creative practice and what we're doing. And I think for me, that's kind of what has been really amazing about this group, is it's kind of 100% supportive, completely uncompetitive, non-judgmental, and it kind of understands the sort of flux of kind of what's going on, whether, you know, you're making work or you're not making work, whether you even see a point to making work, it's kind of there to support you with that. So I think for me, that's been kind of the most important thing about it. I think, have I done my 4 minutes? Yeah.
Am I on? Okay, right, I'm Elizabeth Doak. I'm a photographer, and I think I have just done an MA in Brighton, and so interestingly, I've kind of had a lot of support recently from Ruddy Cheek, but also from doing the MA, which I found really helped to hone in my practice a lot. And so I do remember that the first kind of year that we were part of the BM mentoring group, I think I had nothing at all to say or do, because I wasn't doing anything. And so I feel that I'm feeling more part of the group now, because I've got things to show and things that I've been doing, and now the project that we're going to be doing with Lucy for Ulysses. So I feel that I feel like I've got something to kind of present now. And my work, so I've got these 3 projects. I've done one with roses, I've done one with to do with National Trust properties, which is what this one is part of, but a lot of it is to do with the environment, where you feel at home, things that are hidden and revealed, and secrets, and ideas of kind of what's the backstory of things, what's kind of being left out of the conversation. So yeah, that's kind of where my work comes from, and objects and memory and things like that. And as you saw just in the other picture, there was I've actually used Ruddy Cheek members in some of my photography, which is really nice, because I feel that I know them really well and I feel comfortable with them. And so it's really nice to kind of like use people that you know that well if you're going to kind of be doing portraits and things. I think Ruddy Cheek is brilliant because I'm part of another couple of mentoring groups actually, but they're of my medium. So it's really nice with Ruddy Cheek that it's multidisciplinary, the medium. And so I find that really fascinating, because I'm learning things that I just wouldn't have known about before, how people approach different things with different medias. So I find that really, really interesting. And you know, Ruddy Cheek's emotionally really supportive as well. So yeah, I've you know, it's kind of very gentle group, which is I think what we all really like, and that, as Claire said, nobody's sort of pointing the finger at anybody about you haven't done anything, or you know, it's a gentle sort of just holding you kind of group, which is really good and works really well. And so I'm really looking forward to doing this. We're called the Mollies, I think, this Ulysses project. I've finished my MA, so it's another thing to work towards, and working with this group, which we've never exhibited before together. So it's a really exciting prospect to be doing that. So yeah, and it's a very feminine, but I think because we're all women, it makes a difference, especially with the sort of Molly's soliloquy. It works really, really well. So yeah, I'm pleased to be part of an all-women group. It wasn't meant to be that, but I am quite happy about it. I think that's my 4. I've done it. I've timed myself.
I wasn't expecting that. Hello. So yes, I'm Ismini Samanidu. I work with weaving, photography, drawing, installation, I guess. And what got me into all of this in art was kind of material, really, making material. I mean, it was photography to start with, but then and noticing details and beauty in the everyday and trying to communicate that. And then it was material and making. So I trained as a weaver. It captured me straight away. I felt like a magician. I'm making something entirely new. I work in a set way with parameters I can push against, but also what the materials I use and what I can make can have a meaning or a story, and it connects to history, the past, the present, the future, connects to time, and it becomes a way of communicating. It becomes a language, really. Themes I work with around time, place, or non-place, people, memory, and increasingly I've been interested in not having an outcome. So rather than starting with thinking of what things will be like, allowing myself to just start and just see where it goes, allowing myself to have the freedom. This is quite recent, I guess. I've been kind of for years thinking I should know what I'm doing, but actually I really enjoy it when I don't know what I'm doing. I enjoy when all surprises come. I enjoy the process, and I'm really interested in how you record the process, and kind of, yeah, I don't know, trying to express something from within with that. I've lived in Eastbourne for 6 years, and it was quite hard moving here. I didn't really know anyone. I was pregnant when I moved. I had my baby kind of 6 months later, and for months I didn't really know anyone at all, and I was kind of Phoebus's mummy or Simon's partner. And I feel that only the last maybe couple of years or year really I've been feeling more myself, and being invited to be part of this group was really wonderful for that. I felt it was holding a space for me where I could be me, and I could be me as an artist, but I could be me as a person. And that's been really, really fantastic. I'm not part of any other networking groups or support groups or any groups really. But I do really love people and talking to people and connecting to people. So that's been really wonderful for me. Most of the people I met through Zoom to start with, because I joined just around the time of the pandemic, but it's been a real joy to meet people in person and talk about things that go beyond work, and realize that we're not just artists, we're people. And so much matters. Our health, our mental health, our our relationships with each other, our families, the place we live, nature. And it kind of feels like a safe place in this quite chaotic world. And it really helped me a few weeks ago. I was having a rough patch, and I talked about having had kind of mental health difficulties, and it felt really safe to discuss that in the group. And that's what I mean. I don't know if I would have done that in another environment that was purely professional, if you like. But I feel like it's a more holistic way of being and talking and operating. So yeah, 4 minutes for me as well. Done.
That's me. Yes. Hi, I'm Kathleen King. I have for my entire career up until now been involved with people and organizations in various configurations, and for the last 10 years my claim to fame was about, and my passion really was about, helping advanced practitioners who work in organizations, change practitioners typically, to mine, explore and investigate their tacit knowing through art forms. And typically these were people who kind of were way away from anything to do with art. And so through art forms, whatever form of their choice, we used to offer various processes on the programs I was running, but get them to understand what is it I know and how do I know it, and show what it is I know. And then when I retired from that work as an academic, I thought, now it's my turn to mine what I know and figure it out and find processes to do that. And my medium really is always related to fabric. I'm not it's not just fabric, like this particular one. Oh, the previous one, the one I can't breathe. Yes, that one was, as you can see, of the 3 pictures, this is the one not taken by Elizabeth, but just on my mobile phone. It's basically wood and nails and a bit of thread as well. But there's always something thready about it. There's something about cloth and about the texture of it and the smell of it, and that I really like. I'm really attracted to it. I think it's to do with my childhood and my granny's front room that was full of fabrics. And typically I will investigate my response to what's going on around me by making something. And this I made for the call to make something around sanctuary. And it got me, the place where I used to work in Ashridge, we had a labyrinth in the garden. And when people got themselves distressed in their investigations, I would go and walk the labyrinth with them. And labyrinths typically have a spiritual kind of connotation of coming home to oneself. And so my response to sanctuary was making this labyrinth. You can't see on the photograph, but the top layer is made from screaming news headings, typically related to pandemics and wars, and which are then kind of dyed over in a sort of oxen blood color. I love I love that I've decided it's my turn now, and it was absolutely amazing to find out about Ruddy Cheek, as it's now known. And I still have this sense that I snuck in through the back door, really, because all these people are sort of rather accomplished artists, and here I was, sort of absolutely at the start of my learning process. And it's been amazing. And one of the things I get from this group is being with artists who are not just textile artists, because I think there's a different way, a very particular way of looking at things that I find really inspiring, and I think I pick up things by osmosis, and it's really nice group to hang out with. It also, because of the nature of the people in the group, it's led to all sorts of things on the side, like going for a coffee or going for a swim, or and it's made me come home actually to Eastbourne, and also made it more possible to think of myself as an artist, really, because of the support I get in the group. That's my 4 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sue Miller. I'm a watercolour painter, and more recently I've started painting in acrylics following the lockdown. I wanted to learn something new and make the time spent in lockdown productive. And from there, I have also developed a growing practice in ceramics, porcelain, working with porcelain, and also writing. So I'm just in the process of completing a novel. So yeah, it's been a productive time. I work intuitively. I work really very much in the space between what actually happened and how we remember what happened. So it's a space that has layers. I work in many, many layers, and that really replicates how I feel about the subject that I happen to be working with at the time. The picture here is to do with an installation I do each year as part of the A Town Explores a Book Festival in St Leonard's. And I work with the infant school, Dudley Academy. And so each year I work with 125 and 6-year-olds to produce work that hangs on the railings near Warrior Square Station. And we're about to install it next week for this year's. This picture was taken in Germany, in Herxheim. We had, following my MA, one of the ladies on the course organised at the Civic Centre in Herxheim to have all the MA participants exhibit their work at the Civic Centre. It was a formidable occasion. The whole, the mayor came and opened the show, and all very exciting. And my work is at the back. You can see, and a number of you will have already seen some of the work. It's monochrome watercolours around my family and my memory and reality of various situations from that time. With regard to the group, I was very grateful to be part of it. Was there at the beginning when Judith set it up. It was very supportive to me when I was shakily finding my feet after doing my MA. And the group has grown from strength to strength to where we are now, which is a very comfortable, very at ease relationship, working together, working apart. For me, the most supportive element was when I was working in a residency in the Pugin Chapel in St Leonard's, and everybody came over to see my work in situ. Because I wasn't sure the direction it was taking or how it was going to be perceived. And we spent the evening there in the very cold chapel, just exploring the work, exploring the environment. And it was just a great session. So I'm really grateful to be part of the group. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Felicity Truscott, and I'm in a big state of transition really at the moment because I am currently in the middle of an MA. It's an MA to train to be an art psychotherapist, so it sort of brings together my life experience and adds in a whole new dimension, I suppose. This piece on the screen at the moment is a starting point based around working in an experiential group at university, and it's become a project that I want to explore the ideas of boundaries through. And so this is a tattoo that I actually have on my arm. I get the right way around to be able to see it. I can't get my arm right to the picture anyway. So I tattooed it on myself because it's a reminder to me to keep boundaries, to keep myself safe. And it's also becoming a point of thought for me about skin as a boundary. I'm interested in what makes a boundary permeable or impermeable. So that's going to be sort of an ongoing long-term project, which Claire Whistler's joined me in part of the investigations for, and I'd love to work with other people along the way. The piece on the screen at the moment is called Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, and that was made in response to strikes at Goldsmiths, where I'm currently studying. Really sort of commenting on the politics of what's going on at the university, which it's in an absolute dire state, and students are suffering lack of teaching hugely through the process of strikes, and also the systemic problems with Goldsmiths as an institution and all that it represents and claims to be, but actually isn't. So this is the wolf in sheep's clothing. And this is my sorry about the quality of the photograph, but it's just a painting that is sort of a response to the boundaries, and this image, this sort of motif, is something that's kind of continuing on for me in terms of investigating a boundary. I have felt, in terms of the group, because of the MA, which it's 3 years and I'm halfway through it, I felt very much on the boundary of the group, just simply because I haven't had any spare capacity to contribute. And so I've kind of existed often so much on the edge that I haven't been able to turn up because it's just too difficult with university. But it's still there, and I'm still here hovering at the edge, and that's really important because, like Elizabeth said, it's very much a holding place, and can become a container for the difficulties and the struggles and the frustration and the thinking that needs to happen in order to process work as an artist. And as I get older and longer in the tooth, I'm beginning to realize that there's a lot more thinking that goes on than action. And I used to be very much an action-based person, and now I'm becoming a much more thinking-based person, which it just feels about right to be doing that now. I think that's enough from me.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucy Brennan Shil. So the image on here is a digital image. It's layered. I am a painter. I trained as a painter and a printmaker. And it's only really through the 30-30 day challenge a year ago that I realized that actually I haven't got time to paint. I'm wedded to the idea of being an oil painter. It's my first love. But I discovered, I became one of Cliff's projects. And so I've picked up a lot of things along the way. So I started to work in Photoshop, and I loved working in layers. I realized I could process a lot of ideas very quickly and pull in all sorts of things, whether they're handmade, digital, manual, all these things. So I really began to explore and enjoy the technical elements of working with new technology, and also being able to share. For me, the important thing was being able to share a medium in the way it was actually made. I got very frustrated with making paintings, spending forever sort of working in these very beautiful visceral layers, and then they're only as good as the photograph you're able to take and share. So I began to work with layering. So these are sort of layered images. I was working with the pier at one point. This is the pier in Hastings, and this one's called Life Room. And I was working with the idea of our lives are very complex. And again, this holistic idea that came from Ulysses. I've been sort of working with Joyce and Ulysses as a community and as a personal project since 2017. And this more obviously is my project with Cliff, because it's a still from the film that we made in virtual reality last year. And it sort of became a way to pull my paintings into a VR space and start to explore and play and experiment much more with visual material. And I think that's one of the things I get from studying Joyce, is never stop radically experimenting, never stop playing, and never sort of look for the edges. In some ways you kind of have to keep pushing and expanding, and really enjoy that expansion. And I think that was the thing about virtual reality space, is that it became a place of also another infinite space. And where are the boundaries in that? So I realized we had this kind of parallel universe. So Ruddy Cheek as a group came together, obviously because Judith set it up, and this group as Blue Monkey, it came out of that. It's really incredible to have connection. It's an important part of how a group works. I think it's one of the things I get from Ulysses as well, about holisticism. And I was very conscious that we're painters and makers as one part of our lives. I was interested in Richard Swartz and internal family systems. So actually one part of our lives is our creative and professional selves, but actually we have other parts which are our emotional and our lived experiences, which also play into our creative side. So I guess the key point of Ruddy Cheek for me is that the commitment to show up as you are. So if that showed up in a professional capacity, and you talk about an exhibition, that's really wonderful. But also to be able to show up and say, actually, I'm falling apart. I'm really falling apart. And it's not in any way therapy. And I don't expect anybody to sort of make it a therapeutic process, but actually being witnessed and being and witnessing by your peer group is actually very important. And that's what it gave me. So that was a really, there's been several experiences where we came together and I shared work, but I think it's the commitment to come and be as you are, and to bring your whole self to those meetings is a really valuable experience. So part of the project that we're working on at the moment is an extension of that aspect of working with James Joyce. So obviously we've just changed our name very recently, and Ruddy Cheek, I didn't like it when it first came out. I thought, not sure about that. And then I thought, that's bloody brilliant. It's kind of, it's also my complexion when I'm sort of, when I'm annoyed, when I'm cheeky, or when I'm sort of and Elizabeth the same. So it's sort of, it's very variable. So one of the things I'd like to do, if nobody minds, is to read a little bit from Ulysses. We're going to share as a group Molly's soliloquy, and it is written in 8 long sentences. It's unpunctuated text, and it is it's quite daunting when you come across it first. It's the last episode in Ulysses. It's episode 18, and I guess famously Joyce gave the female character, or the female hero in the book, the last say. So she reflects on the single day, which is, the whole book is written about a single day in Dublin. Most people, when they start reading this, they take off like a greyhound and they think they have to race through it and realize they run out of breath. The brilliant thing about actually no punctuation is because it means male or female, you can read it at your own pace. So this is how I sounded. So it's almost at the end of the book, but it's not quite the last, it's not quite the last few paragraphs. Okay, so here we go. Molly's soliloquy, episode 18. I love flowers. I'd love to have the whole place swimming in roses. God of heaven, there's nothing like nature. The wild mountains, and then the sea, and the waves rushing, and then the beautiful country with fields of oats and wheat and all kinds of things. And all the fine cattle going about. That would do your heart good, to see rivers and lakes and flowers, all sorts of shapes and smells, and colours springing up, even out of the ditches, primroses and violets. Nature it is. As for them saying there's no God, I wouldn't give a snap of my 2 fingers for all their learning. Why don't they go and create something? I often asked him, atheists, or whatever it is they call themselves, why don't they go and wash the cobbles off themselves first, and then they go howling for the priest, and they dying? And why? Why? Because they're afraid of hell on account of their bad conscience. Yes, I know them well. Who was the first person in the universe before there was anyone that made it all, eh? That they don't know, and neither do I. So there you are. They might as well try and stop the sun from rising tomorrow. The sun shines for you today, he said. The day we were lying among the rhododendrons on Howth Head, in the grey tweed suit and his straw hat, and the day I got him to propose to me. Yes. First I gave him the bit of seed cake out of my mouth, and it was a leap year like now. Yes, 16 years ago. My God, after that long kiss, I near lost my breath. Yes. He said I was a flower of the mountain. Yes. So we are flowers, all a woman's body. Yes. That was the one true thing he said in his life. And the sun shines for you today. Yes. And that was why I liked him, because I saw he understood or felt what a woman is. And I knew I could always get round him. And I gave him all the pleasure I could, leading him on till he asked me to say yes. And I wouldn't answer first, only looked out over the sea and the sky, and I was thinking of so many things he didn't know of. So it goes on, and so we decided to have an exhibition, or I wanted to bring together a lot of artists to explore Joyce and to explore Ulysses. It's, you know, we give it this title of being, you know, almost underpinning entirely modernism, particularly in literature, but, you know, so many artists have responded to it as well. And yet nobody's read it. Nobody really understands it. Everyone's pissed off with it after page 4. And it became, I think particularly in England, I found there was no real celebration of it. And I feel there was a real kind of, you know, once people have got past the first place of saying, actually, I'm really sorry, I haven't read it. So it comes with a resounding apology. And I really wanted to try and sort of do something about that, actually, to make it more accessible, to make it more known, and to allow people to be pissed off with it, but in a way that felt like they had tried enough to know this is what I don't want to do. And there is, I mean, Joyce is a phenomenal artist. And the other thing that's not very well known is that his major patron was a woman, a female heiress, who was really important in literature. And her story is virtually not told at all. So I wanted to give artists the chance to respond to it. So I've been working with it in community in different ways. I've been working with musicians. So in a way, my practice has almost completely flipped on its head. And I wanted to, so I've got the opportunity to bring it to the Electra Studios project space. So we're opening on Bloomsday. So Bloomsday is the 16th of June, which is the day on which all the events in the book take place. So I think, and I hope you'll all come. That would be absolutely amazing. So, and it is an opportunity for us as a group to come together and to explore and expand on the soliloquy. But I also want to bring other artists together as well, so we can open the whole book up and just open it up. I mean, one of the first things I did with it was I tore it up in front of people and said, we just have to tear this thing apart and make sense or no sense of it. So I think I'm going to stop and pass it over to questions. So I think what we'd like to do is invite questions from anybody who would like to respond to any of that. And that would be really great. So I'm going to
Hand back to Angela.
I'm going to hand back to Angela, or anybody say anything.
I think Kat's in charge now.
So I think we'll chat. I think we'll do Q&A for the rest of this. So
we'll do Q&A, and
yeah.
thank you so much. That was amazing and just brilliant to hear. So disciplined with the 4 minutes. That was brilliant. And thank you, Angela, because of course I forgot to say, yes, please put your questions in the chat, you know, in the usual flurry. And we've got, I think, you know, I was so rooted to the spot, I didn't get a question together in the chat, and I think it was the same for most people, but we do have a few comments. June, great ethos, commitment to show up as you are, which is not easy in a so-called professional group. And yeah, I mean, and I was really thinking the whole way through with all the different things that you were all saying and the different ways that, you know, you feel about it, that it is that funny thing that sometimes as artists you have art friends who you talk about art with, but maybe you don't talk that much about what's going on in your life, or not in depth. And then you have your other friends who don't do art, and you know, you don't really talk about your art with them. So to have this kind of really regular and intensely communicating group that you do really show up as you are, and you can, you know, even if it's like I've got nothing going on, it's amazing really, you know, what it spans. And then yes, everybody loved your reading, Lucy, that's brilliant. And you know, yes, I like the way that we're allowed to be pissed off at it, although I loved it personally, but yeah, I do get it. Yes, loving that. And Stephanie Fulbert says, fantastic, thank you. I feel like I was part of your group this evening, which is excellent. You have shared it incredibly effectively. So if anyone's got a question, I don't know if you want to use the raise hand function or wave your actual hand, and you know, if anyone wants to ask an individual or the group. I can't see any hands. Can you see any hands? Oh, Cliff's raising a hand. You're muted, Cliff.
And was going through his mute at the same time. I've looked at the work I've seen. Was interested whether anybody was in, whether you were interested in a group in having a digital space to show it. I'm about to start, I hope, touch wood, as long as the funding comes through, some work with young people based in Shoreham, which is essentially just about creating a digital space online where they can get together, but also where they can invite people to see the work, like the thing I did with you, Kat.
Yeah.
But in whatever shape they want. Have you thought about that at all?
Quick answer is no. We're still thinking about the real space, Cliff.
Well, bear in mind the digital space, as you know, gives the opportunity to try things out very quickly, without that investment in time and money and all the things it takes to bring a physical exhibition together. We can try out rapidly, and I would be very happy for the group to become another Cliff project, to help you create the space. Not offering to do all of the work, but I would help you get the first bit up and started. And Angela, I loved your paint blob. I've done you a little model. I sent it to you in chat.
Oh, okay, right. I'll have a look. Thank you.
I think, Cliff, I was just going to say, one of the things that we have done quite a lot over the months, years in the group is really support each other with websites.
Yeah.
And making sure that what we think we're communicating, we are actually communicating.
I think that's a really
so that
important
has been
thing
a very big part of what we do. But I think I'm not alone in saying we're all a little bit prehistoric in terms of social media. I don't know, probably I'll be shouted down for that, but I think Elizabeth and I were just having a little chat along the seafront today, weren't we, about we're a bit bricks and mortar, aren't we, rather than Bitcoin.
Well,
I think that's kind of like some of the problem in some ways.
Don't get into Bitcoin. It's a massive scam. Just avoid, avoid. But I'm completely with you on that. I'm ready to just kind of cut the undersea cables and head for the cave.
I'm still behind the curve.
I would like just as a counterbalance to that point, and I do have a lot of empathy with Kat's perspective on this, particularly from an ecology point of view. However, if we're not going to cut those cables and stop using our computers and mobile phones, there is a big shift that balances the ecology, and it's actually the blockchain rather than the underlying technology which allows you to create unique digital artifacts which people can then buy into, but they buy into with a sense of supporting the artist. And although there's a huge range of material out there, what it's done is just opened up the opportunity for a broader range of artists to show and sell to a broader section of society, a much broader section of society. So while I have a lot of empathy for that perspective, and like nothing better than getting out with ink on paper and away from all of the technology, I do bounce back to it, obviously, and it is worth looking at. And it's certainly worth looking at the digital opportunity to show your work. Well, I've had work in 2 digital exhibitions this year so far, and that's a lot of additional people viewing the work and listening to the stuff that I'm trying to say with it. I think to throw that audience away is perhaps not the way to go. Though trying to follow all of the social media, I've been looking at a social media for Clive recently, and I wish I'd never got involved. TikTok is appalling.
Oh, let's not go there. No, I know I'm a heathen. I'm not really going to cut the cables, Cliff. Not well.
I know you wouldn't.
Not yet. Anyway,
you wouldn't be able to watch all the stuff about what NASA was doing for a start.
Well, exactly. Clive, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Angela, just on sort of much more basic level, how are you now finding that change, moving away from the oil base? Because I'm assuming that you can't get the same depth. I'm assuming that you can't get quite the same 3D without using the oil based. Although I could be wrong. Perhaps you can. I don't know.
No, unfortunately, you're absolutely right, Clive. Yeah, which is why it's taken me so long to do, because for a while people have been saying to me, you know, it's really not that great, you just shouldn't be doing that. And for everybody's sake and my sake. And I've tried and failed. And then I decided, no, I really need to. But it is hard, and it's one of those things where I just thought, I mean, I had quite a long time of just experimenting and seeing what would happen. And then you just have to think to yourself, you can't recreate something with another medium. So you just have to take a positive view and say, okay, what's this going to do? So the way I'm looking at it now is, it does have some interesting things, not all the things I wanted it to have, but that's okay. Things need to change. Also, it's making me change. Otherwise, I might keep doing that forever.
It's different.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sort of thinking, okay, I'm trying this, and then if it really doesn't work, then I'll just do something different altogether. I love drawing. I'll draw. You know, I don't have to do that. So, but it is tricky. It did take me a few failures to kind of make myself think, no, just get, and actually it was the end of the year, it's that whole New Year thing, like that's it, I needed like a marker of that from that time. So I've still got my old paints, I'm not throwing them away, but they're all boxed up somewhere so that I don't even look at them. So yeah, temptation, you know, dry January and all that. But thank you, good question.
Judith put a question in the chat. Quick question, do you have any plans to enlarge the group?
No.
That's it.
I think if I can speak, that groups take a while to evolve, and I think, you know, we've all spoken about the the synergy of the group and the holding nature of it, and the sort of gentleness of it. And I mean, new people have left and new people have joined, and that's been fine. But I was thinking about this earlier today, and I think it goes back to the consideration and the thinking, the shared thinking between the group. And I suppose we would never say never, but I think the number that we have at the moment feels right and comfortable. And until that changes, that's how it will rest.
Yeah, I think we're also still wanting to hold the space open for
Satu. Yeah.
Satu to come back. So yeah.
Yeah. Nikki, you've got your hand up.
So I was going to say something similar to Judith, but I was just wanted to say thank you for all coming as you are in all your various forms, and for being so open about what the group is doing for you. I was also quite interested as to the fluidity of the group in terms of people coming and going, having been one that's gone. Yeah, I just wondered really, because you have stayed together kind of in quite a good, secure way since a couple of us left, and what your thoughts were on why that's worked so well, I suppose.
I think it's about a kind of just the word relationship came to my mind, and I think certainly with the pandemic that we've been experiencing, that there was very much in a sense perhaps a clinging on clinging on to something, which was contact, but I think it's something to do with the relationships and the interrelationships, and I'm saying that as someone that's very much on the edge at the moment, but I still feel included and supported and important in the group. And I think that's an extraordinary thing to feel when you're very much on the outside of it, actually.
And I think also the people that are staying because they want to stay, and the people that have left because they want to leave, like for whatever reasons they are. So I don't think it's changed massively. It's changed a bit. It's a bit more relaxed, a bit more non-agendaed, I would say, but that's just an evolving really of the group, I think.
And I think we haven't mentioned as well that we are not all in the same town or anything. So Angela is in Lewis, Felicity's in Bexhill, and then Lucy and Sue are in Hastings, and then and so is Satu in St Leonard's, I think, and then there's three of us in Eastbourne. So we're not, we are sort of split about, but it still seems to work really, really well.
I think what I've noticed as well with everyone's presentation is that there's a real, again, I want to use this word synergy about the content of our work, that I was really getting a sense of a lot of similar themes, which may not have been so evident before. And I don't know whether it's just because we've been sort of coexisting and working, and therefore the ideas have seeped into us and we've sort of integrated each other's ideas, or whether they've just come naturally from our own practices and it's all coincidence. But I think that the show that we're leading up to and subsequent shows will have a coherency, because we're a group that's been together for a while and has thought together and worked together and looked at other people's work together. So yeah, the content of say Angela's work, with working with that sense of the unexpected, what's going to happen, and I have a starting point and then I work from there. I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm interested in the sort of the what's below the surface, what's at the surface, and what's above. And I think there's a very psychological sort of thread going on between our practices. Claire just going and taking a photo and then coming back and looking at it afterwards and reflecting on it, and just just by taking that photo without being conscious of what you're doing and then going back and reflecting on it, I think that there's something that's quite similar going on for all of us, which I think is quite exciting.
Excellent. Gaynor, you had your hand. Gaynor, you had a question. You're muted.
Yeah, I think what I'd love to understand a little bit better is the actual formation of the group, again, back to the beginning, and how it kind of, I suppose because I've always seen Blue Monkey as a kind of with the similar aims, you know, and I'm not quite, I'd like to understand the differences in a way. I'm now Blue Monkey, I know we're going to be discussing the future and everything, but so did it kind of come out? I'd just love to know a bit more about the very beginning of it. And Judith, maybe can tell us a bit more, or?
You're on, Judy.
If I'm allowed to speak, if that's well, Gaynor, I suppose the thing was with Blue Monkey that I always envisaged that Blue Monkey would be this sort of group that that the guys have been talking about.
Yeah.
But right from the beginning, Blue Monkey became such a big thing that it was never able to be that thing. So it always had to be that more formal meeting where, you know, you'd have a speaker at front and everybody would sit in an audience. It never was able to be that kind of sharing thing. And over the years, we had a couple of attempts at trying to provide that environment where we could have smaller groups and artists sharing things that were important to them. And this just became, I suppose, something that I suppose a couple of people actually approached me to start with. I think Lucy approached me, and maybe Elizabeth at that time. I can't quite remember who did approach me now, but a couple of people approached me and said that they would like this kind of opportunity for mentoring. And I felt that peer mentoring was the way forward. So, you know, a group of people who were all kind of wanting the same thing. And gosh, I mean, it's a long time ago, but I think at the time that I actually sort of put a little advert out almost to Blue Monkey members saying, did anybody want to be part of it? Yeah. Did and that people could actually apply to be part of this group, because there was also in my mind this thing about actually wanting to put together a group of people who had the same sort of aspirations and the same things they wanted to achieve from a group like this, and so that was how it started.
Oh, thank you, that's helpful.
Can I ask, is anybody thinking about setting up another group or having or bringing together a group of people, or trying to construct another group? Or
not me, Lucy.
No, not you.
I'm just saying that Angela and I are in another group, but it's very different, isn't it, Angela?
Yeah, it is very different. It's great, but different.
It is great, but I certainly wouldn't. I don't always feel comfortable in the group because the way, I mean, it came together through one other person, so it's their group of friends. So we're a bit like a Venn diagram, I suppose, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Which is very different. So it works in a different way. But yes, it's
funny, but the uncomfortableness in that group, though, is actually really. It feels like it's really good for me sometimes, because it's like so uncomfortable. I feel like stepping away, and then I think, no, need this.
Yeah. And in terms of like whether Blue Monkey would kind of foster any new groups like this, I mean, at the moment, as you know, this is the kind of DIY year. We're just kind of doing what we're doing, but if we manage to go into the future, and who knows, we could think of other groups we fancy having. But this is, I hope, this is my opportunity to remind people that next Thursday we can be at Emma Mason's gallery in person, just to meet up, because we haven't in person for ages. And, you know, I didn't want to frighten everyone off by going, we're going to talk about the future, because I thought nobody's going to come. They'll all go, oh my God, I've got to volunteer. No, you don't. Nobody has to. But I keep getting emails from people kind of going, oh, you know, I really hope we go on, you know, let me know if I can help. And I think if we have a bit of a rethink of the sort of the structure, because it's very much set up in a way, you know, that you've got one person and an admin, and there's things like the MailChimp, you're only allowed one user now. So it's really hard to delegate. So I think if we had a little look at the structure and then divvied up the jobs with a little helpful use of volunteers, you know, none of it's rocket science. It's all doable. So I think if as many people as can would like to come along next Thursday, that'd be amazing. But obviously I will stick something in an email as well. And Steph Granger has very kindly volunteered to triage emails from people going, I can do a bit of admin, or I can do an event, whatever it is, you know, just try and get a handle on who we've got and what we could do, and then see how to proceed. And
sorry.
Hello, yes.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Kat. Can I speak?
Yes, do it.
Great. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, during lockdown, I found like all of us, it was great to have time to join different networks and reach people across the world. That was what was so exciting. But for me, I suddenly realized that I didn't have my network here locally as a social artist. So I approached Kat and Steph and I said, do you think there are any members within the Blue Monkey Network that would be interested in meeting specifically around social arts? So they've kindly invited me to give a presentation next month. And a little bit of that will be about my own practice. It'll also be about Compass Community Arts, which is an Eastbourne-based organisation that is a social, based upon social arts practices. But equally, it's going to be an invitation to members. So if any of you are curious or interested, it would be lovely to see you next month. But if you know any artists that use extended forms of practice in this area, you might want to suggest to them to come along. And hopefully, when I've stopped talking next month, we can have a bit of a conversation together and ask ourselves whether it's something we would like to have here in Eastbourne. So thank you.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to read out a couple of chats, and then I think Victoria had a question and Cliff, and then we'd better go and make dinner or something, because it's 19:43. So Evelina has had to go, but said, thank you so much. You're a very colourful and competent group of artists, and this is a great project to come. I have a deep interest in the stream of thought literature. Sorry, I have to leave. All the best. And Stephanie Robertshaw, who is a brand new member. Thank you, everyone. This is my first time with Blue Monkey, and I'm very glad to have joined. Hope to see you again soon in person. And Kath, using Google Forms questionnaire to capture experience and role preferences. This is what we need, people who understand Google Forms and, you know, shared calendars and stuff, because I think we can update our system a lot to make it more helpful. So any input on that sort of thing is brilliant. Victoria, did you have a question?
No, it wasn't a question. It was just to say thank you, really. I'm based in Brighton, so I kind of feel like on the periphery of what's going on over there in Eastbourne, although I try and come over as often as I can, because it just, like everyone's been saying, it just feels such a supportive atmosphere that you've all created. The last couple of years I've been involved with the Essential School of Painting in London, and the thing about that is that a lot of the people come from outside of London, and so we're like dotted all over the place, and we have formed a collective together, but it's much more difficult because I think for you the like meeting up in person is what really helps bind you all together. And for us, it's really difficult. We have to arrange to come together to do certain projects. So we only get to really see each other on Zoom. But it's early days, so we're working on it. But yeah, I just wanted to come along today to get some kind of like hints and tips, find out how you're doing it.
Well, you're extremely welcome to come along in person as well. If you're just in Brighton, Judy's in Brighton. Is Judy still here? You know, we've spread across the south coast really, so do come along if you find
thank you.
Fancy, you know. And I think we'll continue to do our mixture of in-person ideally, but Zoom suits some people because, you know, some people are too far away or they can't get out of the house, so we're still going to use it when convenient.
Victoria, can I just say as well, when you talk about your group, bear in mind that you know, we're nearly 4 years together and it's taken a long time for us to feel like this. So if you think you've got a good group there, keep going, seriously, keep going and sort of put the effort in and the time in, and keep doing your meetings. And if you can occasionally meet up, it does help in person. I agree with you, because it helps to, I don't know, like build the bonds kind of thing, but it's just the regularity of it. So if you think you've got something good, I would keep going with it.
So is it once a month that you enter?
Yes, once a month. I'll tell you what you could do is like try the WhatsApp thing. Is fantastic with us. I mean, I don't know if those people would be up for that, but that helps.
Yeah, we already do the WhatsApp.
Yeah, but that helps if you do that regularly. I don't know, you sort of like get a lot of knowledge and a lot of thoughts and a lot of honesty over WhatsApp, I think.
Can I ask how many are in your group?
There's 6 of us.
Oh, that's okay. It's manageable.
So it's quite, it is manageable. But they're spread all across the country. I mean, one's in Edinburgh, one's in Oxfordshire, another one's in Kent, I'm in Brighton, and a couple in London. So it's like, that's the tricky bit.
Yeah, that
You
is
just have to
spread out.
find your own way.
Okay, we're going to have one last question, Cliff.
Yeah, you know it's not going to be a question, Kat. First of all, I wanted to say the thing is the project that I'm hoping to get off in Shoreham also involves foster kids along the south coast. Is very much to do with social art, but it's picking up the idea of doing it, of using social media, which is something they're very familiar about. If you wanted to chat about that idea, get in touch. Happy to chat.
Thank you, Cliff.
You're welcome. The other thing I wanted to say, in terms of if you want to look at international groups that are easy to get involved in, I do some stuff with a group called dada.nyc, which have these drawing conversations. There are other conversations going off in other ways with them. They use Discord a lot, but the core of it are just threads of drawings. They're worth having a look at to see what can be done. It's a very simple digital drawing app that you're using. It's a very basic one that you can use on a browser. But I had a discussion with Steph, I don't know, sometime in the last few weeks, and we're going to start a conversation. Well, I'm going to start a conversation up with her on Dada on the 10th of April. And if anybody would like to be included, if you send me your email, I will give you an email link to it, which allows you to get involved in a visual conversation from the start. If you go in, it's a little, you've kind of got to look at them first, but it would give you an intro if you'd looked and would like to get involved. I think that's it.
Thank you, Cliff. Excellent. Okay.
What is your email, Cliff?
It's Cliff at, I'll tell you what, I'll put the Dada link on, I'll put it in chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Put it in now, Cliff, because we're about to wrap up.
Yeah, I'm going as fast as I can.
Can I just say one little thing in response to Victoria? Having been in a similar situation to you, Victoria, the fantastic thing about being all over the country is you've got so many locations to show your work. You can curate for each other. So there are great advantages with that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But you know that, I expect.
Yeah. Well, we've done one in London and we've done one up in Edinburgh. So yeah, I've got to find a venue now for Brighton, I suppose.
Okay.
That would be tricky.
Right, you've got Cliff's email there, and I'm sure you can also find him. Are you on Instagram, Cliff?
I am on Instagram and on Twitter, and I have a website with all of the links on. If you put up Cliff Crawford, artist, I'm generally the first
everywhere.
one that comes up.
You'll definitely find him. You can't miss him. Okay.
Loud and
okay, brilliant. Well, there's lots more nice comments. So I will send you guys, you Ruddy Cheek people, I'll send you a copy of the chat. And I'll put the recording on our YouTube channel, and just thank you very much, everybody. That was absolutely wonderful and so nice to see you. And remind me, send me stuff for the newsletter about your show and anything that you want us to kind of share and promote and all the rest of it. And have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.